All right, one other edition of the Wrestling Retrospective podcast. I'm your host, Earnest EJ Christian. We're back again after a couple weeks off. And he's first on vacation, DJ Minter.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
And Rob Bonnette, 2/3 of the Mindless Wrestling podcast. Fellas, what's going on?
Yeah, not much, man. Can't complain.
Well, we're gonna do a little different this week. We've been going through the 1988 Saturday Main Event lane for the last couple of weeks. Last couple episodes, rather. And then I realized last week that last week was the 27 years 27th anniversary of 26th anniversary rather of the my favorite match of all time from Bad Blood in Your House. It was the Shawns Michaels Undertaker match from Bad Blood. And I was like, whoa, I kind of want to cover this in some way. I don't want to do a watch along or not. And I brought it up to you guys. Like, let's do this one instead for now. Something different. So I'm for it. And for the record, so folks might know this match is my favorite match of all time. Any era, doesn't matter. My favorite match of all time, Taker, Michaels, 97. To me, that not peak fandom for me, but to me, it's I have a hard time finding matches I enjoy much more than this one, honestly. So real quick before we get started, this is the 18th in your house in company history, and second to last, actually, because after this one and the Degeneration X in December, there'll be no more. This was held in the Kiel Center in St. Louis, Missouri. Attendance was 21,151. The buy rate was 240,000. Before we get started, what the hell were you guys doing in 1997?
Oh, God, what was I doing? 97. I hadn't started in my current career. I was washing dishes at the hospital, man. I was working in their kitchen and pretty much I hadn't started in the wrestling industry yet. I think I was in late 97 or early 98 when that happened. But yeah, I was a 20-something-year-old kid doing what 20-year-old kids do.
Rob, we're doing 97. October 97.
I was a few months out of college. I graduated in May of 97.
Okay.
So I think I was working my first job, post graduation, and it sucked. And
it sucked.
Yeah, it did. But it was a learning experience. But was happy to happy to move on to bigger and better things eventually.
Mm-hmm. I was actually finishing high school. I was in my senior high school at this point. So yeah, I was 17, turning 18 in the very next year in May. I was actually still, my wrestling fandom was kind of in and out at this point. I was watching still somewhat, but not as like dedicated until maybe a year later. I was actually, to be honest, at this point, probably a bigger WCW guy, maybe, quite as kept. But this match is one of the matches that kind of started to bring me back to WWF fold and it kept me feel good at this point. So again, guys, if you want to, before we get started, timestamp right now is at 2 hours, 3 minutes, 42 seconds. It is in your house, or on Peacock it says season 3, episode 6 of In Your House. That is Bad Blood. If you need to pause this podcast before we get started, do so. Otherwise, you're ready to go. We can get this party started in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and away we go. And there's that cage. It's the first ever Hell in a Cell ever.
Yep.
Also, we saw Vince there with Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross. This will be his final time ever on commentary.
Yeah,
that's right. Because the next event was Survivor Series, and that's when
we know about that. Yeah. You know about that one. Yeah. Survivor Series, the Montreal Screwjob.
This was really, kind of the not infancy of the Attitude Era, but it was really starting to.
We're inching closer and closer.
Inching very, very close to it. This was like the very first where Vince was really like, okay, let's let these guys. The violence is amped up in this. What he was letting them get away with was we hadn't seen this on WWE TV before. And so my first impression of this cage was just, I was in awe. Because to me, my standard for cage matches, and probably Rob as well, was War Games.
Yeah.
So to see this just ridiculous monstrosity of a cage was just awe-inspiring back then.
You say like the beginning of that era. I actually will go further than that. Like, to me, this was like the official Attitude Era began pretty much after Montreal, I would say. What did Vince do his speech after Brett left the company?
It was after. Yeah, it was the night after. I think it was the night after.
Right, my point. Right,
the night after Survivor Series when he did.
Right, correct.
Brett screw Brett.
You would, I would say this. A lot of the pre-Attitude Era stuff started like as early as late '96. I think Mania 13 that year, was the first really massive clue that we're
headed in a different direction.
Yeah, but we didn't know how far it was going to go, and then obviously we get to late '97, DX. Here at this point will be formed officially the next night. Actually, after this, October 6th, I think was DX was formed. But yeah, we're inching closer to really getting like to the peak of the Attitude Era, honestly.
Right.
And this was I think this was a few weeks before the infamous night where Rick Rude was on both shows.
Yeah,
on Raw and Nitro the same night.
You see Rick Rude right there in the background with Shawn and dude.
What is this leather thing Shawn Michaels is wearing?
Dude.
It's like he wore some ridiculous stuff in the 90s, man.
He was right out of like, looked like he was belonging to like Motley Crue or something,
Yeah. Stage one with Shawn Michaels, though. He is, to me, to this day, still the greatest performer in wrestling history.
Yeah, I would say, yeah. I don't think there's anybody that's gone out there and put on a show quite like he did. And he's not, I wouldn't put him in to be honest, I wouldn't even put him in my top 5 all-time favorite.
Like favorite
wrestlers? Yeah. But no denying it because I compartmentalize people when it comes to certain things. And with wrestling, it's one of them. I can look at a guy and say, technically, like I'll take a good technically sound wrestler like Dean Malenko.
Yeah.
And tell you he's probably for his era, hold for hold, the best wrestler of the day.
Oh, yeah.
But he wasn't even in my top 10 favorites, because I compartmentalize it different than some people probably do.
Oh, Shawn's number 5 all time for me. Number 5.
Yeah.
All time for me. Number 5. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we probably started this a little bit too soon. I thought they were dropping the cage down.
Oh, no, it's okay.
They're going into the, the backstory as to what happened with Taker and Shawn here.
Yeah, and that finish from SummerSlam this year was one of the best match endings like ever.
Wait, in '97?
Oh yeah, because that was the one where Shawn was the referee. And
Brett and Taker.
Brett and Taker.
And Shawn swung the chair and Brett moved and he hit the Undertaker and knocked him out. And then Brett just looked at him like, count it, bitch.
Yeah. There's a lot of blurred lines too with this as well, because when Brett got the title back, obviously Brett and Shawn off camera has started their relationship was sour at this point in real life.
Yeah.
There's a lot of blurred lines here. This is why 97 to me is the most intriguing year in company history. Like I actually about 4 years ago did an entire deep dive. I did a rewatch the entire year of 97.
Yeah.
All the Raws, all the pay-per-views. And to me, it's one of the best watches. And watching the company change from January 97 to the end of the year into 98, it is drastic. It is crazy. It's definitely worth watching week to week. I did it a couple years ago. It was really fun.
It was a time to watch it happen in real time.
Yeah,
was amazing. Like, people will always wax nostalgic about the Monday Night War. It just hit differently when you watched it evolve. When you watch WCW, because when Hogan first went to WCW, you got what we got when, we did a watch along on our show and we had some really, really bad Hogan WCW moments. But the moment that, Nitro became a real contender and then Hall and Nash showed up, being there and watching that unfold in real time was just, I don't think you'll ever have that again in wrestling. And that's not, a knock on the current product, because currently wrestling fans are being fed, across the board, we're being fed, but it's just different now. Maybe I'm viewing it differently.
Well, it's just different now because unless you were like deep into like the sheets and everything.
Yeah.
Hall and Nash showing it was a total surprise. And just and then the whole transformation of Stone Cold Steve Austin was nobody, as fans, no, we didn't see that coming, and to see stunning Steve Austin turn into Stone Cold Steve Austin, and it just become an entirely different character.
Hey, look, is the head of creative there, by the way. Head of
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who would have thunk this guy here? Hunter
Yeah.
Hearst Helmsley would
of course,
be where he's at today.
Yep.
And man, Shawn owes his life to Hunter.
Yeah.
I mean, literally.
See, they weren't official. They weren't official DX yet until I think a couple days later. But
Right.
this is my favorite DX of all time. Is this China and these two? That is it. I'm not a huge fan of the New Age Outlaws with DX and X-Pac. Keep all that.
See, I liked it after. I liked this. Don't get me wrong. I liked after Shawn went out with the back injury. After the I think it was a casket match with the Undertaker when he hurt himself, and then he finally laid it down to Stone Cold, and then he went away. When Triple H took over, I think he did amazing work.
I think he did a great job. Yeah,
he evolved and blossomed as a character. And it was one of those evolutions that was amazing to see, because I never saw, previously Jean-Paul Levesque and Hunter Hearst Helmsley as a main eventer. I never saw that. I didn't know that wasn't going to happen. And then here's this guy literally turning into that.
Yeah. Look at Shawn. What is he wearing? Oh my God. I always love this intro though, like the posing and with the fireworks behind him, the pyro behind him. I always love that how it looked. So cool.
I may have a picture somewhere of that exact pose. We went to a Superstars taping one time, and I think I have that pose.
Around this time?
It may have been a year before. It was when his babyface run. It was during the Click era.
Oh, 96. Okay, 96.
Yeah, it was during the Click era. We went to a house show. We were like second or third row. It was like a Superstar. No, it was a Superstars taping because it's on the network, or the Peacock now. But yeah, he was there. Sid was there. Ahmed Johnson was there. Bret Hart, Stone Cold. It was a loaded TV taping.
This is the first Hell in a Cell match ever. I mean, were you guys watching real time at this point?
Yes.
No?
Yeah, I watched this in real time.
Okay.
See, I had started watching regularly again, but I hadn't gotten to the point of ordering pay-per-views yet.
Right.
So I didn't see this live as it happened. I would start ordering like pay-per-views regularly again around like January of '98. So I was still doing the thing where I just saw the highlights on the next day on Raw or whatever.
Yeah. Now I think the in your house pay-per-views were price pointed a little bit lower than
they were.
I think they were like $20 or something.
$20, correct.
Rather cheap, as I remember it. And when you got 4, 5, 6 friends sitting around in somebody's living room, it's $2 or $3, and here's $5 for pizza, and we were all good for the night.
Oh, the days of innocence, right? Oh, DJ.
Right.
Here's legendary Taker entrance, man. Which Undertaker. I mean, we're talking about 30 fucking years of a legend. What's your favorite Taker character? Like, which one do you prefer? Like this era, badass Undertaker. I mean, which one do you guys prefer?
I like this one. This was actually my favorite one.
Mine too.
Because
it's tough.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rob. I'm sorry. I keep cutting you off.
Because it was shortly after. Well, because at this point, like he did a promo where he actually tied in all of this stuff into being a professional wrestler. And because Kane was coming, he did this promo where he explained why he dresses up like this to come out there and fight people. And to me that was that just put like a sense of amount of realism to all of the spooky stuff. And so this was this for the next through the next couple of years, starting around here is when I was my favorite version of the character.
Yeah, this is my favorite one as well too. Like obviously, go ahead.
This is probably my favorite version of this character. However, I was a huge fan of the American Badass only because, again, I like evolution. And he showed, while he was still very much the Undertaker and, not much changed in ring, his overall persona changed. He was actually cutting real promos rather than the little 1 and 2 word, 1 and 2 line, things, and then capping it off with rest in peace. He was going out there, and like one of the most clever things he ever did, and I think it was as the American Badass, he told Kurt Angle, he's like, well, how exactly did he word it? He's like, I'm going to punch your teeth so far down your throat, you'll be able to chew your own ass out for pissing me off. And I thought it was one of the best promos he ever cut.
Yep.
And it was so awesome to see that side of him. But the entrance and everything that goes along with it, this Undertaker.
Yeah. I love the babyface Undertaker that had a little bit of a heelish like tinge to it. That's my favorite one. Definitely.
There's the padlock.
Yep. Yeah. Look at Shawn playing up. See, I love this is great storytelling. This is Shawn doing the details here, like being fearful, and now reality's now set in. I'm now in this cage, this fucking psycho, and Paul Levesque can't save me. Sergeant Slaughter can't save me. China can't save me.
Yeah,
Rick Rude.
Sergeant Slaughter's not trying to save him. He's holding the door so they can't. Slaughter's like, "Fuck you, you're staying."
Fuck that dude, bro.
Remember all the jokes you made about me, Sergeant Slaughter? Yeah, you're staying in here, pal.
Yep.
I don't understand why these guys wear jewelry to the ring. Like if you're wearing something around your neck that means something to you and it gets broken off and lost, you're going to feel like crap.
Yeah.
This match is you wouldn't think watching this that these guys are mixed well as opponents. Oh no, these guys mix. I mean, we talk about now in hindsight, especially now with the WrestleMania matches they had years later.
Yeah,
the chemistry between these two was fantastic.
I think these two, except for maybe Mankind, Shawn Michaels was Undertaker's greatest opponent.
Yes, in ring, absolutely.
In ring, it's Michaels, probably Lesnar, then Mankind.
I think Michaels. I think Michaels number one is there's not a close second in my opinion, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, like in terms of his rivals, it's number one Shawn Michaels, number two Brock Lesnar, number three Mick Foley.
And because it reminds me, Jim Cornette was talking about, like, tag teams, like how the Road Warriors' best matches weren't never against like the other muscle guys. It was against guys like the Midnight Express who could, do what Shawn is doing here, just take bumps and get thrown around and sell all their offense and everything.
And he sold very well too. I mean, he has his moments when he was not being a dick. He sold really well. Him and Savage are two of the best sellers in history of the company.
Yeah.
And like when you have, because now if I have one criticism about, I have several criticisms about modern day wrestling, but one of them is that, for me, is that you don't have we need more matches like this where the smaller guy bumps and sells for the bigger guy and doesn't just try to go 50-50 with him the whole time.
Right.
I mean, I guess for me, there's a little too much of that now. I mean, where it's like if the guy's twice your size, he should be throwing you around the ring.
Yeah. Right. And here's an example of that.
Yeah. So many guys in this business now are like, obviously, even when I was in, you're looking out for yourself. You're looking out for number one. But that was one of the things I learned. When I was in, buddy, I was 5'8" and 155, 160 pounds. And I was training with guys that were easily two of me. And it's one of those things in the business. They have an adage. It's like, sell because you want to, or sell because you have to. Mm-hmm. And, it's very much you go out there and you sell. And a lot of these guys don't do that. And I don't understand why. Clearly, Shawn is selling his ass off. The Undertaker is taking out his pound of flesh here. And Shawn still doesn't look less than. That's the trick. That's the nuance that a lot of these guys don't get. They're worried about looking like they're less than. And if you do it right, you can take an ass beating and still come out looking good.
Yeah, I mean,
100% agree with you on that one, DJ.
Yeah, and again, like these, like Ric Flair, he get, he was in there with somebody like Luger, he get the shit kicked out of him for the whole match, right? Or like the Rock and Roll Express made a whole career out of getting the crap beat out of him for 20 minutes.
And then coming back for the finish.
Yeah. I mean, they would do a little bit in the opening minutes, and then they would get knocked down, and then they would get, and Ricky Morton would get shit kicked out of them for 20 minutes, and then until the finish. And they made they made a career out of that.
Now that's a leg drop.
That's a hell of a leg
Take
drop.
notes, Hulk Hogan. That's a leg drop.
I tell you what, man, Undertaker never had a wasted movement in the ring ever.
Yeah.
I would say this era too for Taker was probably his peak in terms of in-ring ability.
Yes.
This era.
Oh yeah, because this is where he could still physically do all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he was still young enough. I think he was probably 30 at this point,
probably mid-30s, early 30s.
Yeah, I don't remember what his date of birth is, but still, yeah, I mean, he was still in his peak. I don't think the injuries had mounted up.
No.
So, yeah, he's just wearing Shawn Michaels out. And what a bump.
I mean, this is why I respect him so much, is these bumps.
Well, that's the other thing. He's in there with the Undertaker. I think the Undertaker makes it real well known backstage. Yeah. You're going to make me look good, or else we're going to have a problem out there.
Yep.
And you don't want a problem with that guy. He doesn't look like he can't fight.
Well, especially to this era, because I remember at this era, Shawn Michaels was being known as a douchebag back then, and Taker was the locker room leader. And they had some friction too. These two guys.
Yeah,
but they worked well though. They worked so fucking well together.
Yeah, their last match at WrestleMania against each other is probably my favorite match of theirs. And that's probably one of my top 5 all-time favorite matches.
So you take 26 over 25?
Yes.
Okay.
Somehow I'll take 25 over 26. Yeah.
I
gotta watch it again. I haven't watched those two matches in a while.
I gotta watch them both again myself.
Right.
Now I like the ending of 26 better, when he was just beating the hell out of me. He was like, "Stay down," and and all that.
I think they told a better story in 26.
Yeah.
But 25 may have been an overall better worked match. But I found myself emotionally.
I have a hard time, as much as I love those matches too. This one is still, my coup de grace.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But those clotheslines, dude, like you feel those clotheslines.
Yeah. And see, and then another thing, like Shawn's not doing the overselling where where every time he gets hit, he flips up in the air and flips over.
A lot of space to work on the outside of the ring too, also, which is really cool.
I liked that. It's the old. I didn't mind a lot of the old WWE blue cage with the bars, but this was such a neat environment for them to go out and fight outside the ring, have a little bit of room. They can use the cage. This was so unique. And, while a cage match, I guess, is what it is, this was so much different.
And, well, to me, like the blue cages, that was tailor-made for Hogan, really.
Yeah.
Of course.
He was, I think he was the best guy in the blue, because they were tailor made for him to climb up and climb over, and all that type of stuff. And
speaking of Hell in a Cell, I had you guys gather a list of your top 5 Hell in a Cell matches.
Yes,
sir.
Ever.
And this is one of mine. So.
Oh yeah, well, spoiler, it's number 1 for me because it's my favorite match of all time. So by default, it's number 1. I'll be honest with you, my 2 through 5 though, it's interchangeable, and it's a do order because honestly, I would like to watch all Hell in a Cells before I actually do a definitive list. There's a bunch of them from Ruthless Aggression era and PG era I didn't watch. But the 2 to 5 is definitely fluid. Like any day it could be number 2 or number 3, whatever.
I'd say my list is probably the same. It's I have them ranked by order, but I could probably you could ask me to come back here next week and I'd probably reshuffle the deck.
Okay, then DJ, you spill. Give me 5.
You want me to give you all 5?
Sure, go ahead. Yeah.
All right, number 5, I have Sasha Banks and Charlotte Flair, because I believe that was the first women's Hell in a Cell. And they tore the house down. Some people had some problems with some little things in there, but for what those girls were given to work with, awesome match.
Yep.
Number 4 was the New Day and the Usos. That match is in this modern era. That's a top 5 for me. in matches overall. Number 3 was Batista and Taker from Survivor Series 2007.
Oh,
okay. It was pretty violent. I watched this match that we're watching right now, and then immediately followed it up with that one because it's been a couple years since I've seen it.
Okay.
And they ramped up the violence. This was peak Batista at this point.
Never seen it, but add to the list now. Thank you.
Put it on the list.
Already ahead of you, brother.
I got to do the same. Yeah.
Number 2, Taker and Mankind from King of the Ring 98, and the number 1 is Shawn and Taker, the one we're watching right now.
Right. Okay.
Because this really changed the game. Like this, and the little bit of a spoiler, the end of this match really, there's so many things coming out of this. Not only introduction of the match itself, the turning of the corner of WWE's, not only their production but their creative direction, and then just the big finish. There's so many things to unpack in this.
Oh, for real. Absolutely. Rob, give me your 5.
Okay. My number 5 is Brock and Undertaker from Hell in a Cell 2015.
Ooh, okay.
That was a good one.
So they've done 2 then.
Yeah, they did one during Brock's first run, and then
right. That one I need to see.
The 2015 one was their last match against each other.
That was my one on my honorable mention list.
And that one, I mean, Brock got busted open the hard way, and yeah, they beat it. And that was probably that may have been Taker's last
great run.
Yeah, because before that, earlier that year, they had a match at SummerSlam, and it was a great match. It had a shitty finish, but the match itself up to the finish was great.
That Hell in the Cell's one where they pulled the mat up and yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
So that's my number 5. Okay. Number 4, I have New Day and Usos because again for all the reasons EJ said, and number 3, I got Charlotte and Sasha. And for me, that one, well, y'all know I'm biased, but okay, whatever. But what I do,
Queen, of course.
But one thing, I mean, just one spot from that I don't think I've ever seen. Definitely not in any like the women's cage matches, but not in any cell matches. Period. Was they were both on the outside of the cage wall, fighting, like hitting each other. And then, like, Charlotte slid down to the floor and grabbed Sasha and power bombed her through the announce table.
I've never seen that match before, actually. I need to see that match.
It's good. It really is.
I mean,
it's got to be. If you guys both mentioned it, yeah.
And look. I mean, people had issues with who won. Whatever.
He fucking split the guy in the crowd. Oh my god.
He did. Yeah.
What a dick.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rob. Continue.
And then, all right. And then my top 2 is Taker and Mankind, and then number 1 is this one. And look, everybody, Taker and Mankind. It was by no means was it a great match, but because it was just but one thing for me, like even talking about like things that are just memorable. Now, me being a math guy, when I look at the fall from the cage, just the fact that was a one in a million throw basically.
Right.
He had to throw Mick off at the right angle so that he would land on the table from that height. And that is, I mean, that is just to do that is just ridiculous. I mean, that is just something. If he had to do it a second time, he couldn't have done it. I mean, that was something you could only do once, and you had to get it right.
Right.
And he could probably never get it right again after he did it.
Right.
I mean, it's just that impossible of a thing to do. And then this one's number 1.
Yeah,
I give this one number. One of the reasons I give this one number 1 is because they had to figure it all out here. I mean, and to go out there and just to have to figure this out the first time, it hadn't been done before.
Didn't Meltzer get 5 stars also? This match 5 stars? He didn't get all 5 stars like anything? Is it a 5-star match though?
Probably. I'll check because
I thought he did actually.
I don't know
because he probably did 4 3/4.
Yeah, what a dick.
He's prone to do.
The level of violence in this was something we hadn't really seen much of in WWE. Yeah, and this is where they really, for the longest time, they played it safe with a lot of their stuff. And just this one, they were just like, let's go balls to the wall. If we're going to do this, let's let's fucking go. And they did. They let Shawn and Taker get out here and cook, and Vince just kind of let it be what it was. And it was violent. I mean,
absolutely.
Michaels just wore the Undertaker out with steel steps. Shawn's been bounced all over all four corners of this cage at this point, and we haven't even gotten to the good stuff yet.
Yep. Oh yeah.
They've been beating the hell out of each other for 10 minutes, and we haven't even gotten to the good stuff yet.
Yeah, well, he gave it the 5 stars. He did give it 5 stars.
Yep.
Wow.
My list real quick. No surprise. Number 5, Mankind Taker 98. We'll have that here. Number 4, I went Sasha and Bailey from 2020.
That was a good one.
It's a great match. I
love
that match.
Good call.
That was a good one. Number 3, the ladies do it again. I went Sasha and Becky at 19.
Another good call. That was on my runner-up list.
No, Sasha's on twice on this list. She's well missed, obviously. Number 2, Usos in the New Day. I saw it recently, like a couple years ago. I was stunned how great that match was.
It's amazing.
And then, of course, this one, I mean, it's not a surprise. It's my favorite match of all time, period. Not as Hell in a Cell. So, I should go tell you.
Because like one of my hang-ups with some of these matches is that, especially some of the later ones, they turn into just about how many chairs can we stack up.
Yeah.
Right.
How can we, can we wedge the chair up against the cage and do this and that? And it takes, to me, when you start doing that, it takes away from, everything. And
I forget the year, and I forget, it was definitely a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. If you want to watch a good low-key, a lot of people forgot Hell in a Cell match, the last one that Randy Orton and John Cena did together.
Oh.
There weren't a lot of crazy bumps. They never left the cage, but it was just a good fight inside of a cage. Like the cage was almost secondary, it got overshadowed by the crazy bumps in the other. I forget what the other match was that night, but there were some crazy bumps. So that match gets kind of buried by that. But it low-key, I'd have to look up and figure out which one it is. But yeah, it was low-key a really good match.
Is that 2011, 2012-ish era?
No, closer to now, more modern.
Oh,
within
closer
the last,
okay.
Yeah, here, I'll tell you what, you guys watch. I'm going to look it up real quick.
Okay.
I'll pull it and let you know what it was, and I'll also let you know what the other match on the card was.
The in-ring storytelling is incredible. Now they're picking up now.
Yeah.
The in-ring storytelling is truly amazing watching this. They get everything right here. Everything's right here.
It was 2014.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's not a crazy bump fest. There's obviously at this point WWE's not bleeding in 2014,
right?
But just all in all, it was a good match. It was just I remember watching that and being entertained as hell by that.
It was Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Or was another name of a?
It was Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, they don't need to have the shows called Hell in a Cell. They just have the match and call it a day.
Yeah. It was overshadowed by, I believe, Rollins and Ambrose.
Oh, that makes sense.
I think. Yes, it was which was fantastic. Rollins and Ambrose was a fantastic. Hell, it was actually made my my backup list. But yeah.
I used to think this was actually real. This shit here with him and the cameraman.
Yeah.
Because to give him Shawn's attitude back then too, also wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, you think that until you realize that this is leading somewhere in a minute. But yeah, this was really good work by Shawn. He's laying him in on this kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, you have like a melding of stories here. The reason they're even feuding was because Shawn cost Taker the title 2 months before this.
Yeah.
Yep.
And now, mind you, this is the second match they had of this feud. The first time they met before that, Ground Zero, was they went to double DQ. That's actually a good match also too.
It was. That was a very good match.
Yeah.
You won't get mentioned among the top Taker HBK matches because this one and the other matches, they obviously the main matches, but that's actually a really good match. Dude, I don't think they have a bad match, honestly. Even Royal Rumble 98, when he got hurt, was still a good match. Yeah.
Here we go. We're calling for medical.
Call for medical. Yep.
Call for medical for the cameraman. Here it comes.
Yeah.
Again, great
As
storytelling.
the man would say, this is where business is about to pick up.
Absolutely. Yeah, to me, this is where I started coming back to WWF. This is where I started to I was still WCW guy at this point, but I was eyeballing the WWF at the time. Like, oh, you guys still do some good stuff here.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is where the seeds were being planted for them to turn things around.
Right.
I think with me in WCW at the time, I was not there at all for the Hogan era, like the start of the Hogan era.
At all, or just for the Hogan?
Just not at all. I was so over Hulkamania by the time he left WWE in 92,
93.
And when I was so glad to see him gone, just because I wanted something fresh. I was over the Hulk up and the finger point and the boot. I was done with the whole thing at that point.
Right.
Years later, for nostalgia purposes, I popped for it again. But in that moment in 1992, at 19 years old, I was over it. I wanted something new.
Now,
and when he went to WCW,
go ahead.
In WCW, I had no time for the Hogan show. I was like, this dude's washed. I don't want any part of it. WWE had Bret Hart. They had Shawn Michaels. They had British Bulldog, Owen Hart at the time. To me, it was just, I was more of a work rate guy during those years from 92 to this point, and I just wasn't there for it.
Right. Now, NWO Hogan,
much different story. Much different story.
You're in, okay. You're in.
Yeah, I bought in on that. I was still a WWE guy or WWF guy at the time, but I bought in on Hogan NWO. I watched that one live too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so Shawn's trying to get away, and then
slingshot into the cage, and there's the cut.
Where did you get the blade at? You didn't know what part you got the blade at?
He may have had it tucked in the front of his tights.
That's actually scary shit to be.
Or in like the wristband of his those little bracers he's wearing. He had them tucked. Yeah. He had it tucked in there somewhere.
Okay.
Or very well could have been the ref slipped it to him.
That crowd's popping too.
A lot of people in the Bret Hart Stone Cold match where Stone Cold gets busted open.
Yeah.
Bret's the one that cut him.
Yeah.
Ah.
Bret, if you watch it real close, if you know where to look, you can watch Bret real quick. Hit him with the cut. It's slick, man.
Is it? Yeah, because the thing is, he gets cut right when Stone Cold runs into the crowd at the gated area.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right in there, and as Bret's picking him up, he kind of rakes him real quick, and you're like, "You son of a gun, you slick mother!"
Yeah,
it's really good.
And that was I think the story behind that is that was just between them going into the match. Because Bret basically said, "We'll do it, and if we get in trouble, I'll take the heat for it."
I think he did that with Davey Boy, didn't he? In Wembley, he bled like a stuck pig in that match.
Did you get cut open in that match?
I believe he got cut open. It was one of the matches with this right here. This where Shawn's climbing. You see why they put the bigger openings in the cage in later years.
Yeah,
because Shawn's having such a hard time getting those boots in those little cage holes.
Yeah.
And then the Undertaker's big ass feet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure Bret cut himself open in that match. I remember there was a match with him and the Bulldog. Maybe it wasn't Wembley. No, it wasn't Wembley. It was it was a different match. No, because Davey won the one in Wembley. I think Davey was a heel at that point. And yeah, Bret posted himself in the corner, cut himself wide open. And my understanding is that Bret took heat with Vince backstage on that one.
Uh-huh.
Because I don't think they talked about that in the back either.
You see the blood now going to the camera?
Yeah.
Amazing. See, they get it 5 stars and then some.
Yeah. It was so amazing to see these guys on top of the cage because I don't think we'd seen anything. The closest we'd come to that was in WCW in a War Games match. Sensational Sherry and Sting ended up on the top of the cage, didn't they, Rob?
That was Medusa. That was Medusa, I think.
Oh, it was Medusa. That's right. I thought it was Sherry, but it was Medusa.
Yeah.
Look at the crowd, too. Also, the crowd on top, they're shocked.
Yeah.
Never seen it before.
Yeah.
I was I had a pucker factor of 9.5 when he picks him up like this.
Yeah.
And you just think he's going to throw him off the cage. So good.
I'm telling you. Like, you watch the match. This is why it's my favorite match of all time. I can never get sick of this match, no matter what.
The work on display, the stuff these guys did. Nope, you're not leaving, sir. I'm going to drag you back up here.
Yep. Step on your hand.
Man, yeah, it looks like he's about to, wow.
Of course, the biggest bump of the whole match here coming up.
Yep, this is it. Step on the hand. Step on the other one. Bye-bye, sir.
He's such a great performer, though, man.
Yeah.
God, he's so good.
I think this is one of the first appearances of the breakaway WWE tables, the new announce
correct.
tables.
Yes, it is.
That's what I thought. God, look at that crimson mask.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
Fucking Mick Foley, fucking like literally like 8 months later, it's like, I could top this.
Yeah. God, Shawn just spent this match getting his ass handed to him.
Yeah. They must have planned this out really well, because you don't just do this kind of shit without like making sure that you can take the weight on the gate on top of the cage, number one.
Yeah.
They have to plan this out. These bumps he's taking, man. My God.
Yeah.
This is why a pile of rubble, man. You could be hitting anything there.
This is why I say, like, people talk about Shawn Michaels' second run, and no disrespect on Shawn Michaels' second run. It was fantastic, of course. This is my favorite run of Shawn Michaels, 97, 98.
Yeah. Yeah, he took his in-ring work. He stepped it up a notch.
Right. I'm just saying something, because he's really great even before that.
Coupled with that heel turn was exactly what he needed. I think
this one here?
Yeah, the heel turn right before this, he needed this, man, because people have mixed emotions about the whole Click era. I hated Click era Shawn Michaels. Like, I thought it was the cheesiest, most try-hard thing ever. I just was not here for babyface Shawn.
You know what it is? Vince trying to go back to the bag and see, okay, I need a guy to be, the head of the company, face of the company, kind of thing. And
right.
Shawn wasn't that guy, man. Shawn was more of a, he has to be a heel.
Yeah.
Now babyface Shawn works post, back surgery and all that stuff, because he's really a changed man. If I had to put up like top 10 matches all time, Shawn's in at least like 3 or 4 of them. You have this one. You have him and Hunter at SummerSlam Night 02, his first match back.
Yeah.
The unsanctioned. I love the unsanctioned match. Obviously, one of the Mania matches, of course.
I love his Mania match with Kurt Angle. That is a top 3 Shawn Michaels match for me.
I need to watch that.
It's really good. It's a great work rate match.
You know what? I have an idea. Probably next couple of weeks or whatever, we can do like a top 10 Shawn Michaels matchup.
Yeah, we can do that. I can come up with 10 matches quick.
Right. Give me about a month or two first to put all together. I want to watch these. I'll watch them.
And I may surprise you, because there's one match that may not make my list.
Should I say it?
Go ahead.
It's an Iron Man match.
The Iron Man match will not make my top 10.
Well, you know what's funny though? A lot of folks say that match is overrated.
Well, I don't think it was overrated, because I think most people I talk to now don't like it very much. I mean, so to me, it was just kind of cheesy having no falls after an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, the finish killed that match. The match itself was brilliantly worked. Yeah. Like, it was a brilliant 60 minutes of wrestling. It really was. And if you really want to just watch something for wrestling, it's an incredible match to sit there and pick apart clinically. Like, it really is. But it has very little rewatchability from an entertainment standpoint. And,
here we go.
Yeah, here we are. This was pivotal.
This is the greatest debut probably in history of wrestling. Probably. That'd be top 3. Because this is where storytelling was amazing here. So remember, it's been about 5 months since he mentioned Kane's name.
Yeah.
Kane's alive. Kane's alive. This is in June of 97. Okay. And then they don't say another fucking word about Kane at all until now.
And then, like, because everybody suspected this was going to be the match where he came out, but still, nobody knew what the hell he looked like or what it was even going to be. And
this was so effective.
Yeah.
Because I hated the build-up.
The build-up.
I hated the little vignette that they did with Paul Bearer where he sets down the camera, if you remember that far back, but he sets down the camera and he's having a private discussion with somebody backstage talking about how he had sex with the Undertaker's mom. And you know,
that was strange.
I hated it.
That was strange, yeah.
God, I hated it. And I was expecting to poo-poo all over this. Like I really was. And then the presentation was awesome. The follow-up was awesome. And the 20-something year career that followed it solidified Kane for me because I was full-on prepared to doo-doo all over this thing.
Yeah.
That's how much I hated everything leading up to this moment.
The funny thing is that the lead up to the main event, not the main event, the lead up to the match of Mania, because remember, they don't fight each other for 6 months after this.
Yeah, months.
They literally paces out until March of 98 when they fight, and the match is kind of meh.
It was not a great match, as I remember.
No, because again, I mean, sometimes when you have two big guys fight each other,
yeah,
it can be, it can be kind of slow and plotting depending on who they are.
And that may be the environment they're in. You got to remember, and this is not, crapping on WWE, but Vince has a vision of big guys wrestling. You take these same two guys and plant them anywhere else in the world. Take these two guys, give them a match in Japan.
Right.
They're going to be dropping bombs on each other.
Right.
You take a guy like, let's take Earthquake. Earthquake in WWE, Earthquake in Japan, two totally different guys.
Yeah.
Same thing with Bam Bam Bigelow, Tugboat, all those guys. They go over to Japan and all of a sudden, like, who is this guy? I fully believe that Taker and Kane had the potential to do that. I don't know that they ever had a great match together. They had a lot of great moments. The Brothers of Destruction tag team was incredible.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know that the two of them in a one-on-one match with each other ever really tore the house down.
No,
in WWE.
I don't think they did. It was,
to me, the highlight was about the story, not about the actual match. The storytelling was amazing, though.
Yeah. Man, Shawn is so bloody. Look at that mess.
Yep.
China's putting her hands in it. It's like, ugh.
Yeah.
Where's OSHA?
it is.
That's an ocean nightmare right there, buddy.
I mean, it is a miracle that some of these guys didn't get, some blood disease from all the, it was very unsanitary.
Yeah, it really was. It really was. No, but I mean, you have the Taker losing the title to Brett because Shawn has issues with Brett on top of that. Then Taker and Shawn go at it. Meanwhile, this Kane part comes up now. It's brilliant storytelling. It was the best story of the year, in my opinion.
It was. That was their number one story, except aside from whatever Stone Cold was doing in the moment, because he was still on the rise.
Right.
This was peaking. The other thing that's interesting about this is this was the main event of this pay-per-view.
It was.
And Shawn was European champion.
Yeah.
Like the world heavyweight champion didn't main event this. I don't even know who was world champ at this point.
Brett was.
Was it Brett?
Yeah, Brett
was. Brett was earlier on in the card. It was Brett and Davey against Vader and I think Ken Shamrock. Earlier on the card.
Yeah, so Brett loses the title a month later. It's Survivor Series to Shawn because of
the screw job. Okay, yep.
Yeah.
What a good match.
Oh, God, yeah. Every time I watch it, it's like, wow. I get goosebumps. That was great, guys.
Yeah, that was great, fun, man.
Any final thoughts on the match and just this era in general? I mean, this is a tipping point before we get to that era, really.
Go ahead, Rob.
Oh yeah, so I mean, this was like a transition point, and like I said, there was more this in the Austin Brett match from WrestleMania. There was just more blood than we've ever really seen, regularly in any WWE matches, and look, this was born out of necessity because they were getting the crap beat out of them every Monday by WCW. They had to do something, and they did it with the people who they had there, right? Like they didn't bring anybody new in to, they didn't sign anybody or anything. They took the people they had and they said, okay, we got to do something. There, we got to make this work.
Yeah.
And so over this course of this year, Austin turned into what he became. You see Shawn here, and then Taker, and then Kane debuted, and of course Brett had already changed, but then Brett would be out the door a month later. And then, towards the end of this year, well, I mean, and of course, Rocky had turned heel, this year. So all these things were kind of changing. And again, like I said, they changed, they took the people they had.
Yeah.
And they changed stuff so that they worked better. And, there's a company right now that could probably stand to do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Don't give them that kind of runway, because Tony will go out there and have his people doing they're already doing stupid, ridiculous stuff.
Well, but there are people, but not to spend a whole bunch of time on it, but there are people there that they could do some better things with.
Absolute fact.
And even amongst the people they have right now, there are people there they could be doing some better things with. And if they were to start doing better things with those people, you never know. I mean, look, you can go. It takes less than a year to go from being, looking like it's never going to go bad to looking like it's never going to be good again. It doesn't, it happened in less than a year. Every time things went bad or things started to fall off a bit in WWE, for example, it took less than a year to go from this is going to be great forever to, oh damn, what are we going to do? It doesn't take much. It really doesn't. And because look, I mean, right now, look, WWE looks bulletproof right now, but it doesn't take much. I mean, it can change in less than a year. In either way, because look, I mean, when Roman came back, at the time Roman came back, they weren't in dire straits or anything, but they were kind of in a
it was a slump. They were in a recession.
In a multi-year slump. Going back to like 2018, and but it turned quickly, and so things can turn quickly. And here, this was in October, and then within 6 months, they were neck and neck with WCW again, and a few months after that, they took the lead. So it doesn't take much. And
I still say to this day, though, as good as WWF did in catching the ratings, WCW shot themselves in the foot.
Oh, well, it takes. Well, yeah, it does. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
a combination of both things. What does WWF do what they're doing? It was a combination of both things. Like this. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, this particular era for me held a special significance because there's a group of friends that I'm still very close with today. We bonded over this shit. Like we all met in the tail end of the abysmal early 90s years. 93, 94, 95, we kind of weathered that storm. And then by 96, 97, when things started to pick up a little bit, we all got the pay-per-views together. We went to the shows together. And I'm still, these are all friendships that will be lifelong for me now.
Right.
And we bonded over this era.
Yeah. No, to me, like I said, this match is what drew me back to WF and eventually kept me, because that added with the fact that I hated the Wolfpack thing. I hated the Hollywood Wolfpack expansion of the WO. That to me, that's where it lost me. It's like, nah, I'm good. I'm gone.
Oh, because I mean that always, when you start adding too many members to the factions, that's when it starts.
It's a mess.
It always starts to go left. Then I mean,
So at that point, you're adding people for the sake of shock value, and why?
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, and it's never as good as when the core group you start with. I mean, when you start just adding more and more people, it just
muddies the water.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
So great job, guys, as always, man. Want to plug away from the plug before we get out of here?
Rob, go ahead, bud.
Well, as always, every week we are on the Mindless Wrestling Podcast on the Chair Shot Radio Network. And every other week you can hear me do my own thing on the Rob the Genius Podcast.
Yes, sir. DJ?
And again, I'm with Rob and Jason on the Mindless Wrestling Podcast. We're on the Chairshot Radio Network. We usually air on Saturdays unless there's a snafu. You can also find me on the app formerly known as Twitter at The Mindless Pod.
X.
I'm never calling it that.
I know. Everybody talking doesn't want to do that at all. So
that dumbass.
This fucking guy, man. Good job always, guys. Great job.
Yeah, we had a good time, buddy. I had fun.
Absolutely.